Hello everyone, Kasia here. Today I want to talk about highly sensitive people, highly intuitive people, and the sort of role that they play in their circle as a black sheep. And before I continue, I immediately want to get in another metaphor or a symbol, which is a sacrificial lamb. And I want to talk about it specifically in the context of healing trauma that so many highly sensitive people are going through. They might have been going through for the last many years because it's really an intense period for a lot of people that are using this time as an opportunity to heal their traumas. And you will see that a lot of things that I'm talking about might be a little bit symbolic, but I want to create broader perspective as to what are you really doing as you're healing trauma, as you're healing your emotions, as you're healing your wounds, as you're healing all kinds of patterns as you yourself, and trying to figure out what to do with this life, what to do with all these emotions, the patterns that you have absorbed from your circle. And I want to start by saying that so many of you might resonate with this, being that black sheep in your family, being that black sheep in your immediate circle of whether that's school or some community, any sort of tribe circle. If you were lucky enough that in your family you didn't feel like a black sheep because there were more sensitive people, that's unusual, but it happens. But still, in society, you might have been feeling like you're kind of very different. You're very different from your friends at school, you're very different from any sort of community, your neighbors, and all that stuff. And while this might sound like, yeah, this is obvious, what are you talking about? This is an important thing, important sort of foundation that I'm laying, because it's all about standing out, being different, being rejected by either that's your family, maybe that's even your parents that reject you because you're so different, so sensitive. Maybe they are narcissistic or toxic or have some sort of traits that make them unable to completely accept you as you are. Maybe that were your siblings or your extended family, or like I was saying, any tribe that you belong to might have been rejecting you. And what do? We usually venture out. And I've heard it so many times. And the more sensitive person, the more adventures they went on. We have to find our ways after the initial time that we spend in those circles that betrayed or reject us. We find out that there is no use sticking around. And it's a sort of self-preservation where we go on an adventure, right? So you have a classic hero's journey, so to speak, but it's really our life that I'm talking about. That so many of us either move out, move far away from the family home or from that original community that hurt you, or maybe you move and move constantly and you want to change, but you see that you are constantly rejected. Or in other ways, it could be not physically moving, something that I was talking about in my other videos, like doing things differently, moving in consciousness. So it doesn't have to be like getting yourself, packing your bags and moving across the country or across the continent or somewhere else. But it could be just taking an adventure and doing things differently because you've seen that what had been a part of your life, what's been rejecting and betraying and hurting you, it does not work. And this adventure is an important part in the discussion that I'm talking about, because these adventures are rarely the solution, right? They could be a temporary states. There could be times when we seek safety, where we seek different community, maybe seeking other people that could be more like us, that could understand us more. But frankly, what usually does happen is, since we're so drenched with the patterns, maybe some sort of codependent patterns, with the dynamics that we internalize from people that rejected us, and we have not had the space to create that self-confident, really empowered state of being. We internalize the rejection, we judge ourselves, and wherever we go, we bring this rejection, we bring this betrayal. This is not just for sensitive people. This is normal. This is basically a human thing. But I'm talking about it very specifically for sensitive people, because we are so relational. We are open to so many influences. And without knowing how to be grounded, how to be centered, we are consistently really swayed by all these influences wherever we are. And they might again hurt us over and over and over. And we see that we have to heal, we have to go inwards, and we start changing things from within. We see that we cannot do much about people around us, that we have no control over the environment and the job and all that. We can change things, we can look for an upgrade or things like that, but we can't essentially change people, right? And many sensitive people realize this really early, when actually they know that it's them that have to adapt, that have to change, because we are so malleable, we are so flexible, we are, like I said, swayed by these different circumstances from very early on, and we adapt. And basically what happens, we see it over and over, and we stop seeking other circumstance or people to change, but we focus on healing ourselves, but also changing ourselves. And this sometimes is to our detriment, because we literally want to completely flatten all our identity, or whatever could have been our identity, just to placate everyone around us. This is the way that so many highly sensitive people over-regulate. And I talked about it not so long ago in one of my previous episodes. But this healing of trauma comes to our lives, and it might not be called that way. It could be from whatever ways that influenced you to seek that, or whether that was a self-starting endeavor. You start taking care of yourself in whatever ways you could, and over time maybe you learn more about healing traumas and healing your wounds, and you find all those ways how you could do that. And think about all the dynamics you had, all the ways people rejected you, and maybe you think about all the ways you started rejecting yourself and judging yourself and criticizing yourself through the adoption of their ways. Like I said, and we'll say it over and over, we are very easily influenced because our open system. These are some of the explanations that I go much, much deeper in my living book that I'm publishing for free online on my website. And I'm about to talk more about this energetic exchange and energetic open system that I'm talking about right now. But what you have to know just now, that we are open and we take in all these influences, right? And so as we heal, we like literally try to repair them. We're just like, I can't be no longer that person who is letting people hurt me. I can't be that people pleaser that when people are mean to me, I will fold and, just allow them over and over to do that. And there could be a lot of patterns like perfectionism or other self-judgmental mind structures that you're applying to reject and hurt and betray yourself, such as the one as being completely disembodied and being all the time in your mind, constantly strategizing what you should do. But as we really go deeper into healing our traumas, what happens? Going back to the symbol of the black sheep or even the sacrificial lamb, is that we start healing these different patterns that allow us to change the dynamic that we will produce going out in the world. No longer now do we allow people to treat us like crap. No longer we allow people to talk to us like we have no right to exist or to express ourselves. No longer we, are mute and not expressing our needs or our wants or our desires. And we start being brave through changing these generational patterns that we were so infused in our homes of origin, tribes of origin, communities that surrounded us, that were probably repeating these patterns over and over, generation by generation. And like I said, even if you are lucky to have super compassionate and sensitive parents, the generational gap is always at play because they also suffered some traumas. And the person, like a sensitive one, is usually the breaker of the generational traumas. Is usually going out, venturing out into this world, taking all that burden, to be alone with it, to face the world, and to be breaking these huge patterns that were repeated, sometimes for centuries in their family tree or their environment. And they're doing that brave job of facing their demons, facing their pains to the extent that it can. And doing this not only for themselves, but for other people. Because on the example of how original family or original tribe hurt us, we no longer feel like we will be repeating that, right? When we heal these wounds. That's why immediately I had to throw in the image of the sacrificial lamb, because it's the symbol that people always project on. It's biblical, so you can look it up if you're not sure what I'm talking about. That people project on all their hatred, all their fears, all their bias, all their projections from within, everything that they don't accept in themselves, they project on sensitive people. And I also created a separate video completely talking about projection. But as we take this in and process it through this internal work, through healing traumas, through facing our emotions, through challenging these mental patterns, through challenging these embodied deep muscle memories that make us reject ourselves and make us maybe also be mean to others. Let's be honest, I try to throw it in some videos, but highly sensitive people are not saints. They are a sacrificial lamb in that respect, but they are not saints. There is a lot of pain that they carry and pass on as well. They can be very passively aggressive because they can't express themselves. They can be very manipulative and very mean. And by healing traumas, by facing these demons and internal wounds, they break this pattern for the community. They break this pattern literally for people and for humanity that keeps hurting them, that kept hurting them. And now hopefully you can see how much of a job you might be doing if you are engaging in a sort of internal work. Because it's not just you're doing this for yourself, you're literally doing this for everyone else. And if you are more into like energy and consciousness, how it radiates, it's not only through you gaining this wisdom and going out and teaching people and passing that wisdom on. It's not just that. You literally change something in you that radiates. This work goes beyond just individual benefits, although these are very important, and most likely whatever you're doing or any sensitive person that is doing is to heal, to stop feeling that pain, to stop being affected by these early rejections, these traumas that have happened. And as you are healing, inevitably you will start doing things differently. And like I say, you will show up in a different way. You will be communicating in a different way. You will be deciding that you no longer have to just do what you think you should be doing, what you've been brainwashed and programmed to do, but you're choosing your real desire. You're choosing what's deep inside your body, what's being communicating by your intuition, by your drives, or maybe other people didn't want for you to follow. And you show up as that person more and more, which is really showing up as your true essence. And this is something that we change, like a ripple effect. You communicate differently with others. You show up as a different person, modeling that behavior to other people as well, as in giving them permission, likewise, to choose themselves and live for themselves. And the third thing is really changing the relationship with yourself. And this is one of the things that, like I say, it radiates and ripples out for other people to sense from us. Because the increase in self-respect, in self-empowerment can be felt by other people. The way you are able to sit with your emotions allows you to not be so reactive, allows you to be wiser. And all these things are not just the things that you can pass on to others through direct teaching, something like I'm doing right now, but it's something you radiate. And there is enough evidence out there already that talks about this entanglement. When one person changes, others in the same species change as well. So this is a hard work that you're doing, that you and I are doing for the good of everyone. Like the trees that are taking all the crap, all the CO2 and all the pollution and are alchemizing it through their system, giving out oxygen and giving out all the amazing things for others to enjoy. They do it for free, and we do it for free as well. And hence the symbol of sacrificial lamb and the black sheep and all these things that I wanted you to see how much of work you're doing as you're maybe simply doing the work for yourself. This is really a deep work. So I hope you will look at your journey with healing wounds, with healing traumas a little bit differently right now and grant yourself even more compassion than you have been doing so far. Because I know many highly sensitive people are doing this as if they have to fix themselves, and sometimes they approach it from too much of the fixer and just kind of I'm going to repair myself from that internalized perspective that hurt us, that sees us as flawed. We are not flawed. You are not flawed. Simply, you are healing and you're doing the best that you can. And hopefully this video helped you gain a little bit more insight about the deep work that you're doing and why this might be so exhausting, why this might be taking so much toll on you, even processing whatever people are going through right now. We're processing this through us because we are constantly open to this emotion, to these fluctuations, and we literally alchemize whatever is around us, and like trees, bringing out something better, something more nourishing, something more healing. If you haven't signed up to my newsletter, I really encourage you to do that, because I go there more into the ways how I do this inner work, how I see this energetic sensitivity as a tool that I'm using in my days. And I share that in my newsletter to my subscribers. And also, if you're not reading my book that I publish online, it's called The Nature of Sensitivity. I encourage you to start reading this because I'm building up to some really deep insights about energetic makeup of highly sensitive people. And it's really life-changing. It really changed my life. Seeing that way is going to open your mind to seeing yourself in a completely different way as well. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.